You ever wake up one day and realize you're about to live through the kind of story nobody actually believes until it happens to them? Yeah, that was me, not so long ago. The kind of ordinary Tuesday where your HOA president decides, for reasons that only make sense to tyrants and bored sociopaths, that she can stroll into your house with a stolen key and tell you, if you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to fear. I mean, that's the kind of thing you'd expect from a dystopian movie villain, not the woman in charge of the bake sale. So let me back up a sec, because if I just jump straight to the part where Karen turns into a human smurf in glorious 4K, you'd probably think I made the whole thing up. It all really started in the soul-sucking beige box they call the Hilton County Community Clubhouse, a windowless room that always smells like burnt coffee and crushed dreams, where folding chairs squeal in protest every time someone shifts their weight, which, believe me, is a lot. I was there with my wife, Sam, who'd rather be home triple-checking our security cameras. But you skip an HOA meeting, and next thing you know, there's a 10-foot inflatable flamingo in your front yard because of some obscure bylaw. Tonight, though, the air was thick, thicker than usual, not just the usual fights about hedge heights or trash can placement. The real tension in the room? All of it aimed square at Karen Granson, the HOA president, queen of the block, destroyer of joy, collector of grievances. She stood at the podium with her helmet of shellacked blonde hair, her smile all teeth and no warmth, and tapped the mic so hard I half expected it to shatter. "Thank you all for coming," she started, sickly sweet, but with a chill underneath. "We have some exciting new initiatives for community safety and property values." I nudged Sam and muttered, "Here comes the neighborhood Stasi." She didn't even look up, just smirked. Then Karen hit us with her big new idea. Bylaw 7C, mandatory, routine, quarterly garage inspections by certified board members. No excessive clutter, no home businesses, no privacy. My neighbor Dave, who honestly just wants to grill meat in peace, raised his hand. What does that mean exactly?" Karen grinned like she just won a free trip to Aruba. "It means we get to check your garage, Dave. Every 3 months. No exceptions." The room buzzed with anxious whispers. I could feel my blood heating up, that slow, dangerous simmer that always leads to trouble. I raised my hand before I knew what I was doing. Karen locked eyes, smile tightening just a hair. She knew me. John Winters, resident troublemaker. The guy she fined for planting tomatoes in the front yard and painting the door one shade too dark. "Yes, Mr. Winters," she purred. I didn't even sit. "I'm not asking." "The answer's no. You're not coming in my garage. Not now, not ever." The room went dead silent except for the ancient AC buzzing in the corner. Some folks nodded, most stared at their shoes. Karen tried to brush it off. "If you have nothing to hide." And that was it. That was the line. I stared her down, my voice low and flat. "I'm not afraid, Karen. I'm just not interested in living under a petty dictator with a clipboard. My garage isn't your kingdom." For a flash, her mask dropped. Pure, furious rage. Then she slid it right back on. "I'm sorry you feel that way," she said, voice like ice. The vote went through anyway. Her cronies voted yes. Most people just did nothing. That was her promise. Trouble was coming. We left into a neighborhood that suddenly felt a little less safe, the streetlights buzzing like they knew something I didn't. Sam squeezed my hand. "Guess we're beefing up security again." I couldn't shake the feeling. Karen wasn't just going to let this go. Days went by, too quiet, like the air before a storm. Packages vanished. My paper landed in the bushes, small stuff that told me she was watching. Sam rewound the security footage, and sure enough, there was Karen's white SUV circling the block, parking and watching. Then a stranger shows up, stares at our gas meter, and walks away. I remembered. 3 weeks ago, the HVAC guys left a lockbox with a spare key. They never came back for it. I bolted outside, found the lockbox pried open, key gone. That cold spike of dread? That's when you know someone's just crossed a line you can't uncross. Back inside, Sam pulled up the smart lock logs. Yep, someone had tried the key, failed, but next time, maybe they wouldn't. My house, my sanctuary, was no longer safe. I was furious. Karen had escalated from power trips to personal invasions. We had to turn the tables. That's where Sam's brilliance kicked in. She wanted proof. So we left the lock alone, made it look like nothing changed, and set a trap. I spent hours online, found a non-toxic, industrial-grade dye used in banks. Picked cobalt blue for maximum humiliation. Rigged a simple trap, fishing line, spring-loaded shelf, bucket of dye just inside the front door. Sam wired up 3 new cameras, one obvious, one hidden in a sprinkler head, one in the doorbell. Legal warning signs everywhere. Everything above board, every angle covered. We waited. 3 days of nothing. Then, boom, notification on my phone. There's Karen, in broad daylight, key in hand, ready to play queen. She slid the key in, opened the door, and physics did the rest. The dye bucket dumped a gallon of cobalt blue straight onto her head, soaking her immaculate white suit and helmet hair. The look on her face, first confusion, then primal rage, was the best thing I've ever seen. She screamed, slipped, flailed, blue footprints everywhere, and spotted the camera. She pointed, shrieking, "You'll regret this, Winters," and stomped off, trailing blue down the sidewalk. Our neighbor Nate, watering his petunias, watched the whole thing and retreated inside like he'd witnessed a war crime. Sam had already posted the video to the local watch group. HOA president gets a case of the blues, and it blew up. I thought, for one sweet moment, we'd won. Then the fines arrived. $2,000 for unapproved color alteration, hazardous walkway, and harassment of a board member. All bogus, all bureaucratic harassment. Karen's counterattack wasn't subtle, it was an avalanche. A few nights later, the power went out. Ours was the only house on the block dark. The power company said the HOA requested a disconnect. Next, the Wi-Fi went down. Sam found a military-grade signal jammer hidden in the front bushes. We called the police, the FCC, filed every report. Then, around 1 a.m., a mountain of a man in a handyman jacket, Gus, showed up, work order in hand, demanding to inspect the porch. He got aggressive, I stood my ground, and Sam, bless her, racked the shotgun, muzzle down, but loud enough. Gus backed off, but not before promising, "Karen always gets what she wants." That was the turning point. Karen and her cronies were out of control, running a campaign of harassment and intimidation to break us. But they made a mistake, turning a stubborn guy and his tech genius wife into enemies. Sam built a ghost network, battery-powered cellular cameras, mesh Wi-Fi that could survive a blackout, hidden everywhere. We set a new trap, a fake fireproof safe filled with bricks, a GPS tracker, and a story accidentally leaked to Nate about valuables hidden at home. It took the bait. Gus broke in, stole the safe, took it straight to a pawn shop. We retrieved it, with video, receipts, and GPS logs. Piece by piece, the case came together. Blue dye on Karen's planner, caught in a Facebook photo days after the trap. Witness statements started piling up, starting with sweet Mrs. Gable, who paid $3,000 for a bogus attic inspection. Others followed. Unjust fines, threats, deck demolitions, you name it. Sam found a recall clause buried in the bylaws. 25% of homeowners could force a vote to remove a board member. The petition flew around the block. People who'd been afraid for years found their courage. At the emergency recall meeting, Karen tried to shout us down, but the room turned. When she called for Gus to escort me out, neighbor Nate tripped him with his cane, and all hell broke loose. Coffee flying, people yelling shame. And suddenly, the tide turned. Karen was done, but not before promising me. Up close, voice low and cold. "This isn't over, Winters." 10 days later, at the annual block party, we staged our final move. For hidden buckets of blue dye over the voting table, all tied to a single big red button. When Karen, Gus, and the cronies tried to seize the ballot box, I hit the button. A tidal wave of blue rained down, soaking them in front of the whole neighborhood. And, thanks to Sam, a few hundred people watching a private live stream. As laughter and relief rolled through the crowd, the police arrived, files in hand, ready to make arrests. Karen was cuffed and led away, face a mask of hate. The recall vote passed. The board was replaced. All bogus fines voided. The neighborhood snapped out of its fear. People started talking, helping, grilling together, even painted little blue garden gnomes to watch over our lawns. The war, for now, was over. But as months passed and things finally felt normal, I found blue dye smeared on the mailbox handle. Fresh, deliberate, a single fingerprint pressed into the smear. Karen was gone, Gus was gone, but somebody else was still playing the game. The blue was a message. I stared at the row of blue gnomes and smiled. You know what I mean? Some stories don't end clean. They just get a little quieter between battles. If you've ever faced down a Karen, an HOA, or a bully in your own backyard, drop your story below. Who was right? Who crossed the line? And how do you fix a neighborhood after a war? Let's hear it.